Hello, hello, and welcome to the Profit Lab show and podcast. I am your host, Marie Torossian, CPA and 10X certified coach. I'm so glad you are here. It's always exciting to be here. And if you're new to the show, go ahead and subscribe, like my channel or the pages where you are watching or listening, so you get alerts when we drop new episodes, which is every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Podmatch, all of that kind. So with that, just want to welcome you again. And today we are talking about Pillar 3 of Valuation MT Framework, which is my framework. And it's going to be talking about leverage and leadership. So if you are still the bottleneck in your business, you'll never scale. So let's talk about how to lead like a CEO and leverage your time for maximum impact. One of the things that I see all the time with business owners, whether they are starting out, they're at 250 to 500K, 750K, or a million in sales, they're still doing a lot of things themselves. So here's some of the things that I noticed that they do. They're answering every email, they're jumping on every client call. They're really hands-on with every project that is happening. They're doing their own bookkeeping. Oof. And then they wonder, why are they exhausted? So let me ask you this. Did you start your business to have a job, or did you want to build something that gives you freedom? I'll wait for you to think about that. And look, I know that many of us start, a business because we are thinking of replacing our job, but at some point, something shifts. I know for myself, there were a few things actually that were motivating for me to start my own business. One of them was the culture that I was in, and I was not very happy in it. There seemed to be a glass ceiling that I couldn't go above and be above that. And I felt like I was not learning anything new being in that position. Even though my position was a CFO, there was just like nothing else I could do. And that's from a business and having a job perspective. The other portion was change in my family. I had another baby coming, and I really wanted to have more time and freedom to be with my kids, my husband, and and have make money, and at the same time have that time freedom to be available and be at those school events that I was really missing out. So that was something for me that when I started. So I want you to think about why you started the business. So is it just to replace your job? Have you gotten to a point where it's more of a freedom that you want to create for yourself and your family? And that's really going to change everything in the way you run your business. So let's talk a little bit about what is that mindset shift? What is it you need to do to start running your business as a CEO? So if you look at some of these big companies with CEOs, CEOs don't do everything. They focus on the highest leverage activities and delegate pretty much everything else. So I want you to ask yourself, what tasks only you can do? Because obviously right now you're doing so many tasks. So what are the tasks that only you can do? You're the best at. What are some tasks that could be, someone else can do, maybe at, not as good as you, let's say 80% good, but trainable, someone who's trainable. Then I want you to think about the task that you're doing right now and give them a worth. Like, what's the value? Is it $10 an hour value or $1,000 an hour value? So if you were to grade your tasks, what would you grade them at? Again, always giving you a moment to think through this, because this is not me talking at you. This is me talking with you and to you. So this has to be an interaction. And as I've asked before, and even on the first episode, I would love my podcast to be very interactive. So feel free to put questions there, put on your thoughts, and in the comments. I'm going to read each and every one of them, and I'm going to respond to it, I promise. Okay. So here's the things that I want you to think about. Categorize every task that you do in your business. And for example, the way I do it is because I put everything on the calendar. It's very easy for me to go back and see, like, where did my week go? Where did my time go? And was I actually doing the type of work that I should be doing, or was I dragged into things that I should not be dragged to? And it happens. Sometimes you have to step in and, save the day, but is it something that's consistently happening and it's really dragging you away from really doing value work? So I want you to start thinking about things that you're doing that maybe it's worth $10 an hour. Again, these numbers, just I'm throwing it out there just for the sake of comparison. So say it's, scheduling calls, data entry, basic admin work that you're doing that's, you could probably delegate. $10, $15 an hour job, right? You can delegate that. Then I want you to think about, let's say, something more higher level, let's say $100 an hour work. So think about, client communication, being in touch with the client at all times, really giving that high touch point value. Project management could be content creation, even though we can use, AI for a lot of content creation, but still, some of the ideas are ours. It's our AI to create the content. So what are some of these ideas that you're working on? What are the things that you're doing that could be valued at $100 an hour? And so that still could be delegated. So you want to think about that. So list them all out. And then I want you to think about the highest value work you're doing. Let's say it's $1,000 an hour. Things like strategy and vision. Where are you taking your company? How many people are going with you? What are the type of clients that you're going to be working with? Highest level of sales conversations you're having. Maybe you're the type of clients you work with, they're like big companies. And you need to be in those rooms because you're having very high level sales conversations. Maybe you're working on multi-year contracts that are like $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 or even more. So you might want to be in that room, right? You don't want to just delegate that. And then building other partnerships, referral partnerships, other partnerships that actually add value to the business. And then maybe creating systems. So these are the high value work, $1,000 an hour work, let's say. So you can then, once you evaluate all of the different tasks that you're doing and you put a dollar amount next to it, and then think about if you were to give those specific things to somebody else, what does that cost you? And if you open up those number of hours that are going for these lower level work, let's say in a week, you save yourself 5 hours. What would that look like for you if you use those 5 hours for $1,000 an hour type of work, right? It's going to make a big change. So the main goal here is to spend 80% of your time on highest value work, those $1,000 an hour type of work. So strategy, vision, that type of stuff. Okay. So now we're going to go into what are 4 ways that you can leverage your time? I mean, time is our biggest asset. There's no doubt about it. Everybody has the same number of hours in a day. We don't know how long we're going to live. So we all have limited time every day and, throughout our life. So we want to be very clear on when we're spending time on something, it has to be valuable. And especially when it comes to leveraging between your time in the business and time with family, you want to be able to do that. So the first thing I want you to think through is, what are you going to eliminate? What are things that you need to stop doing that are not moving the needle? Think about it this way. If it doesn't increase revenue, improve client outcomes, reduce risk, or build enterprise value, it's a great thing to think about eliminating that work. Just get rid of it. Here's an example. Remove approval steps that add no real risk protection but slow everything down. Or there's too many approval systems in place that just really are not adding value. Obviously, we want to have business protected, but too many different approval sections and too many different people having to approve unnecessarily, it just creates slowdown. Get rid of it. Just limit it to let's say 2 or 3, and that's it. Get rid of reports that no one's reading just because things have been done a specific way and everybody looks at the specific report. But if it's really not adding value, just don't do it. Don't ask for it. It's just wasting time. Let your team work on other things. And then eliminate unnecessary internal meetings that don't produce decisions or action items. Oh, this is a big pet peeve for me. When I think about where I used to work before, back in the day, and as a CFO, I got to pulled into every possible meeting you can think about. And sure enough, at some point, I had to start asking, do I actually have to be in this meeting? Is there anything going to come out of it? Do I need to bring any numbers? Do I need to prepare for anything specific? Because a lot of times it's a lot of talking, a lot of ideas, and it's just so many hours in meetings that nothing is happening. And there's other work that needs to be done. So if you're the business owner, then you want to think through those meetings that you're asking for. Is it actually moving the needle? Is it actually getting helpful? Is it getting results? If not, then minimize it, make it more compressed, and then ask your team member maybe to send you an email instead. Just a quick note instead of another half an hour meeting or another 2-hour meeting. Okay. The second thing I want you to think through is how to automate. What can you automate? Right now we have AI that pretty much automates so much that it's a no-brainer. If it's a repeatable, rules-based, and predictable task, it should probably be automated. Just get rid of it from your desk. Just get rid of it, automate it. So what are things that you can automate? You can automate client onboarding. Let's say proposals, contracts, invoices, welcome emails, all can become a workflow. There are systems that, for example, I use a specific software for that. Makes it 5 minutes for me to get things done, and then everything else is automated. And this is also now delegatable. And I'm going to be delegating it as well. Auto send appointment reminders, follow-ups, and document requests. If you have a CRM system, which is another way, like CRM automations are great for lead nurture, but there are certain CRM systems, like for example, the one I use, it also does all the appointments and reminders. So there's a lot more automations in there. So it's all fully integrated. So think about what you can automate. What are some of those tasks that could be automated? And then go ahead and do that. Delegate. And I've mentioned this delegate, and I'm probably going to talk about it quite a lot. There's something about delegating that is so freeing, right? There's obviously not everything can be delegated, but if you have the right people around you, you train them and you prep them, you can delegate. So with that in mind, hire people to take tasks off your plate. Your time should not be spent on tasks that can be taught, templated, or checked. So simple things like delegating bookkeeping, reconciliations, and month-end close. You don't need to do that. If you hire the right bookkeeper or an accountant in your team or an outsourced team, you don't need to worry about it. You just need to get the numbers and have a meeting and discuss about the numbers. Have an administrative assistant or virtual assistant that handles scheduling, looking at your emails and triaging what needs to be answered right now versus can be done afterwards. They can handle a lot more work. And nowadays there's even AI agents that you can plug into your email system, and they can prep those responses for you. And all you have to do is review and then send it. I mean, there's no reason not to implement all of these different automations and softwares and delegate things out. Another one is delegating social media or content creation, newsletters. All of this, you can hire someone to do it for you. You don't have to sit there and do all of it yourself. And the last item is to elevate. So focus on the work that only you can do. This is where you stop being the best technician and fully step into CEO strategist mode. So you're the main visionary for your business. So you have to stay in that zone. So perhaps you might want to be working on strategy sessions with your key clients, those big, if you have big company clients that you need to be in the rooms with. You want to focus on your vision and where that's taking the whole team and yourself, your family, your positioning, special offer creations, let's say. Those are things that you want to weigh in on. And other things like making big decisions about the direction of the business, their pricing strategy, or the market focus. These are areas that you want to elevate and put your time in. So because that's going to really move the needle. So let's regroup. This was a lot. So I'm going to summarize it again. So there's 4 ways to leverage your time. Eliminate, automate, delegate, and elevate. You're with me? Okay. We're almost going to wrap up. So I have a few more things to share with you to help and encourage you. So as leaders, the 3 things that we must do or have, and we need to master it. 3 things that great leaders three things that great leaders must master. All the M's got all confused in my mouth. It happens. I had a mouth surgery a while back, so since then, sometimes the M's and the N's and all get mixed up in my mouth. So I apologize. So 3 things to master. Clarity. Your team needs to know the vision, the plan, and what's their role in it. And we talked about this in episode 2. We focused on vision and goals. So if you didn't watch that, please go ahead and go back and take a look at that. So we specifically talked about why vision and goals, and really showing your team where you're going is going to be very important. It's important for them to understand why they do what they do and how they're contributing to the vision. Communication mastery. So over communicate expectation and feedback. There's no shortage of communication. There's communication the right way and the wrong way. So when it's to give proper feedback for your team to really grow and be able to handle these delegated items. So how are you going to communicate that? You want to communicate in a way that really feels like you're empowering them and not just like throwing tasks at them. The way you handle it, the way you communicate is going to be very important. So communicate the need for this extra work that needs to be done, how it actually ties into the vision when they're doing those tasks, what's the expectation, and give them feedback, give them training, give them things that will empower them to do those new tasks that you're delegating to them. And the 3rd thing we have to master as business leaders is courage. Leaders need the courage to make tough decisions, address challenges head on, and stand by their values. We are going to be challenged all the time as business owners, as entrepreneurs. There's so many things that are going to, jump in and cut us off. And, I think of it as, when you're driving your car and then all these different drivers are just cutting you off and you're like, oh. So you want to make sure that you keep that courage and keep pushing through. Okay. So this was really great, exciting time. I hope you got so much information and value out of it, but don't just take the value and the information and hold on like that, but actually put it into practice. So with that, I have your profit question of the week. Are you ready? Okay. If you could only work 20 hours per week, what would you focus on? What would you stop doing immediately? I'm going to read the question again. If you could only work 20 hours per week, what would you focus on? And what would you stop doing immediately? You can put that in the chat. You can put it in the comments. So I am going to read it. So again, just a reminder to everyone to, this isn't, I love your engagement. So please go ahead and put your thoughts, your feedback, your comments in there, and I will read everything and respond. Now, we always, wrap up this podcast with 3 actionable items, right? So here's what I want you to do. Do a time audit. Track how you spend your time for 1 week. It's 1 week. And if you do the same as what I'm doing, is just block in the time and actually write down everything that you're doing, no white space, you'll be able to go back and see what you worked on. Obviously, there's other ways, but that's the way I like to do it because I'm very visual. I like to see it. I color coded too. Okay. The second thing I want you to do is categorize your tasks using the $10, $100, and $1,000 framework. So I want you to grade and price out what you're doing so that you can narrow down the things that you need to delegate very quickly. And then identify 3 tasks, which this, if you do number 2, that's the number 3 is going to be easy. Identify 3 tasks to eliminate, automate, or delegate in the next 30 days. Got it? Do a time audit, categorize your tasks, and identify 3 tasks to eliminate, automate, or delegate. Excellent. So next week, upgrading systems and operations is what we're going to be talking about. So make sure to come back, and I can't wait to see you then. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your week.